This is a 2000 Range Rover 4.6 HSE. This is a 2020 Lexus LX 570. Hi, I'm Andrew. Today we're outside of the garage to check out the differences, the quirks, and the features between 20 years worth of luxury SUVs. Both the LX 570 and the Range Rover are loaded with old-world luxury touches inside and out, like real wood trim, soft leather upholstery, power everything, and fancy stereos. Peel back their fancy facades and these two are both serious off-roaders at their core. They'll go a lot farther than their owners are likely to take them thanks to their truck-like construction. They also cost about the same. Now hear me out. A Range Rover 4.6 HSE like mine, with the optional navigation system, was about $71,000 when new, or about $106,000 in 2020 money. An LX 570 like this highly optioned one I borrowed from Lexus lists for about $102,000. That's not a big difference. To be fair, a more apples-to-apples comparison would include a base 2020 Range Rover, which starts at around $93,000, though most you'll find will cost way more than that. I'm hoping to line up a Range Rover soon for another comparison, but for now let's talk about the Lexus. The LX 570 represents 2 decades of refinement since the Range Rover P38 generation came out, at least sort of. You probably know the LX 570 is a swanked-up version of the Toyota Land Cruiser, but there are some key differences between the two. The Lexus has a height-adjustable suspension that the Toyota lacks. Its styling is dramatically different inside and out. It has a totally different interface, and like my Range Rover, it's positioned as a genuine luxury vehicle. Let's look at some of the numbers. Under the Range Rover's hood, you'll find a 4.6-liter V8 rated at 222 horsepower. That's neither a lot of motor nor a lot of power, especially since this beast weighs 5,000 pounds. The LX 570 uses a 5.7-liter V8 rated at 383 horsepower, but it weighs 6,000 pounds. Even though it weighs so much more, the Lexus makes far better use of its power thanks to its 8-speed automatic transmission. That's double the gears in my old Range Rover, and it means there's a ratio for just about every situation. Both trucks send power to all 4 wheels through a conventional 2-speed transfer case, which is a must-have for off-road use. I don't know how far I'd venture in the LX 570 though. Just look at that front bumper, which is ready to be snagged on anything taller than a curb. That's why we're sticking to this paved parking lot. The Lexus does have plenty of trickle-down, or trickle-up I guess, 4-wheeling tech from its Land Cruiser brother that sets it apart from the old-school simplicity of the Range Rover. Both trucks have traction control systems for real off-roading, and their height-adjustable suspensions can rise to the occasion for more ground clearance. But the Lexus has this row of control knobs for features like crawl control, think ultra-low-speed cruise control, various traction control modes, and even a feature that brakes an inside wheel to trim this big truck's turning radius at low speeds. The old Range Rover? Well, it has brake and accelerator pedals. Even though this Range Rover has a winch, I don't think it's ever ventured far from pavement. So let's talk about features instead. The LX 570's been around for a while. This basic design dates all the way back to the 2008 model year, but it's miles ahead of the Range Rover that was built just 8 years before this design debuted. Its car-like dash is dominated by this tablet-like screen controlled by a remote mouse-like thing that frankly doesn't work very well. But my Range Rover's navigation is also a work in progress. Even if I do get my Range Rover's navigation to show up to work, I can only imagine how much trickier it's going to be to input my destination with just 2 buttons and a single knob. Don't even ask about voice controls either. Nobody's listening. Now the 300-watt Harman Kardon stereo in my Range Rover actually sounds pretty good today, but you'll need a tape adapter to listen to Spotify. This LX 570 has the optional Mark Levinson system, with 450 watts pumped through 19 speakers, and of course it can handle Bluetooth while charging my phone at the same time. I wouldn't expect less in a 2020 model anyway. The LX 570 isn't at the forefront of autonomous driving, but it does have some trick tech that would have been relegated to a Jetsons-era fantasy when my Range Rover was built. Adaptive cruise control keeps the LX 570 a set distance from the car in front of it on the highway, and automatic emergency braking grabs the brakes to stop the truck if it senses an impending collision. The Range Rover? Well, again, it has brake and accelerator pedals. Both trucks tick off plenty of luxury SUV must-haves, though. Some features are timeless, like these fold-down tailgates that both trucks share. Now, I don't know what the next 20 years of luxury SUV evolution is going to bring, but I for one hope these big behemoths don't change too much. Thanks for tagging along this week on the Garage Door. If you enjoyed this big luxury SUV comparison, make sure to like and subscribe below, and then let me know your thoughts in the comments.